Welcome to Real Dad Speak, a show where real dads share their stories about being present in their child's lives with the goal of raising responsible adults. I am your host, Sarah McClure, and my guest today is Reverend Gregory A. Smith II. Reverend Greg and I met at work many years ago. At the time of our initial meeting, I was injured on the job and had to go to the medical section. Reverend Gregory was assigned there, and he was very kind and helpful when answering my questions. As we talked, I learned that he was a minister and the son of a pastor. Today, Reverend Greg is the pastor of Zion Hill Baptist Church, located on the east side of Detroit, Michigan. And now I'm going to talk to Reverend Greg about following his father's footsteps, being raised by a pastor, and raising his own children as the pastor of his church. So, welcome, Reverend Greg. Glad to
Thank
have you.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, I just start off with some basic questions, get a little background information on you. So,
Okay.
in what city were you? Did you grow up in?
I grew up in the city of Detroit,
Okay.
born and
Where,
raised.
okay. Where'd you go to school?
I went to elementary school at Macomb Elementary, located on the east side, off of Barrett and Harper. I then went to Burbank, over on near State Fair Middle School, and then they had a split after seventh and a half grade. They rerouted us over to Foch, next to Southeastern High School. And then from there, I went to East Catholic High School, located on off of Gratiot, which is no longer there. And then after 2 years, I was learning. I was not getting good grades, but I didn't feel I was learning what I needed to learn. And my parents was paying for me to go to school. So then I kind of requested. My dad wanted me to go to King, and I was like, nah, I play football, and I played football in Little League with the guys that went to King. And I was like, I'm gonna have to go in real hard to start. So I went to Kettering, where I knew I would get a fair shot, and I graduated from Kettering, which ended up being a blessing because I ran into a teacher, an English teacher, that prepared me for writing that I now know that I needed. Didn't know then, but I know now that prepared me for college.
Wow, great, great. So, do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have one sister, 8 years older than me, but we
Okay,
was
are you
always like most people don't most people that know me think I'm the only child because I'm always just it's just me around. Yeah.
okay? Are you guys
Hmm.
close?
Oh, we're close, but she's her. You
Okay,
allow me to say that she always was like a loner, and so she just disappear, and that's all you. If she show up today, I'll act like she was never gone, but she was just always just herself. No,
okay.
no, we have no discord or anything. She's
That's
her.
who she is. Okay,
Hmm.
all right. So, did she follow in the ministry like you?
No,
You
no,
have any other like uncles or aunts that are in the ministry?
no, I'm it.
Okay. So,
Me and my
besides your
dad.
dad being a minister, did your
Hmm.
parents have outside jobs outside of the ministry?
Yes, my dad was a truck driver. He's retired now, and my mom, she passed almost. It would be what's today's date?
Uh,
Six,
uh,
six, right?
six.
Yeah, six. So tomorrow will be 6 years of her passing. She passed
Oh,
on her birthday, so tomorrow I knew it was close. So tomorrow will be 6 years. So she was a banker. She used to work at Comerica Bank. She retired.
sorry for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Okay. Um, as you know, you're in a distinguished group of people. For lack of a better term, you're a preacher's kid, or
yes.
as we would say, a PK.
That's it.
So I like to ask you some questions about the
Okay.
beliefs concerning PKs.
Okay.
I'd like for you to answer in true or false as it relates to your upbringing as a PK.
Okay.
So my first question is like you felt uh say true or false. You felt like you had to be an example to other kids. Is that true or false when you were growing up?
False.
Okay. Two, people seem to forget that you were human and could make mistakes. True or false?
Mm, false.
Okay. Number three, you were treated with more respect because your father was the pastor.
True.
You were expected to be perfect by kids. True or false?
I would say False with an explanation.
Go ahead with your explanation.
My experience is a lot different than other PK kids because my dad didn't put the weight of ministry on me.
Okay. All right.
So
Uh,
that's why my answers most people probably would be yes, and that's why mine is no.
okay.
He let
So
me be a kid.
good. All right. Were you expected to be perfect by adults?
No, I was expect to be respectful as far as my parents and
Okay.
grow up to be a good citizen, be respectful, do the right thing, but not necessarily. I didn't feel that pressure. It may be because my dad and them shielded me. Maybe they could be it, but I didn't feel that pressure. But I bet if you ask my children that, their answer would be, especially my son, would be different than mine.
Okay. We'll get to them in a second. Okay. Were you expected to become a minister?
No, not by my dad, and I didn't even expect myself.
Okay. Number 7. Were you expected to volunteer for every church activity?
No,
Okay. Um, you have to miss out on fun events like going to a music park or concert. True or false?
false.
Okay. Number 9. People tried to tempt you with things to prove to themselves that you weren't perfect. True or false?
I would say false.
Okay. People believe that your families only talked about the Bible. True or false?
False. I would say false.
Okay. You weren't invited to parties and other events because your dad was a pastor. True or false?
That would be false.
Okay.
And
And
with explanation,
go ahead.
I wasn't going anyway because I didn't. I was that type of kid. I didn't trust everybody. I hung around my cousins,
Okay.
so I
And the
didn't need other
last,
people to affirm me.
okay. And the last
Yeah.
thoughts about preachers' kids. Number
Yes,
12.
ma'am.
You weren't invited to a friend's house because their parents didn't go to church. True or false?
Say that one more time.
You weren't invited to a friend's house because their parents didn't go to church. True or false? Some
Oh,
of
that's
your
false.
okay,
Most of them didn't.
okay, all
Yeah, so
right.
I went to. Yeah, so I went. I didn't have that experience. So no. I
All
think
right.
I heard your question right. So I was invited. It wasn't that I was not that I was denied because they didn't go to church. No, I
Because
think
you
that's
know
what I
some
understood.
people, if they smoke or if they have beer or wine around their house, they'll be like,
Right.
he can't come over here because he can go tell his daddy, you
Now
know.
that might be on their end. I never
Right. That's
noticed
what
that
I mean.
because,
Yeah.
but my
Had
parents never hung on.
had your
Yeah,
friends ever told you, man, you can't come over because my mom don't go to church and they don't want you, or whatever. But you never had
I
that
never
experience.
never had
All
that experience. It's either one of them things I probably already knew they did it and I wasn't going in.
right.
Okay,
Okay.
now that happened.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
So, what types of activities did you guys do as a family? You,
We we de-
um,
we de- we definitely we went to the movies a lot. We didn't go on a lot of vacations. I tell people all the time and tell my children. I say that's why they're fortunate because mom and dad, I wouldn't trade it for the world because they raised me to who I am. But a lot of our vacations was we made the best of it. When we had to go down to Arkansas for a funeral or go here. We get in the car. We make the best of it while we gone. But I wasn't like that Disney kid or but they did take me like the Bob below, Cedar Point, things like that. We go to family reunions, but we didn't go Disney or cruise, stuff like that. But I knew that they did the best that they could and wouldn't trade it for the world.
okay. So, did you know what you wanted to be when you were growing up?
It slightly just with just a blur. At first, I wanted to be the police, but I always named it as I wanted to be undercover. But then it kind of like, as I went through high school, I didn't think about it. I was playing football until I was, faced with a decision what I'm gonna do in senior year.
Okay. So, after you graduated from high school, what was your next move to becoming a responsible adult? Did you go to college? Did you find a job? Did you work for your
Uh,
dad?
I went to college. So what happened was I had two options. Like I said, I only put in for one school. A lot of my administrators was from Central State University, which is a historically black college that's located in Wilberforce, Ohio. So I was on a buddy plan with one of my cousins, which was going to the Navy. All I had to do was take the medical. I passed everything. The ASVAB, I passed all of the testing. We just had to take the medical, so we were in on a buddy pass. So I remember sitting in the graduation seat, and after I had uh, enrolled, not enrolled, but I had filled out an application, filed an application for Central State University, and I got some recommendations from some of my administrators that was alumni. I got accepted and got a partial scholarship. So I remember sitting in the in the graduation seat. And I don't know to this day why we were sitting next to each other, because my name is Smith and his is Johnson. And we
Okay.
shouldn't have been nowhere near each other. There's a whole lot of letters in between our name. And so I remember when they called me for the scholarship and announced that I was going to Central State. I remember tapping him on his right knee with my left hand. And I said, cuz, you got to go by yourself. I may get an opportunity to go to the military, but I may never get a chance to go to college again.
Wow.
And we parted ways.
That was powerful. Wow.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
But that was the only school that I filled out for. The
Okay.
only. And
And
then
got us a
a
partial
lot of my
scholarship.
partial scholarship and a lot of my football teammates, they got scholarships to go there, but I didn't. By the time I decided to go to school, I went to my coach. He was like, well, Greg, you played good football, but the scholarships are gone. I said, I don't need you to get me a scholarship. I said, I got the grades. I can do that. I said, I just need you to get me in admissions, and
Okay.
that's got my name in admissions, and I got accepted.
Ooh. Wow.
Okay?
It pays to network, doesn't
It
it?
pays in net, and it pays. I tell my son, it pays to go to school to get good grades.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Academics is important. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So after college, what did you major in when you went to
I
Central?
majored in political science pre-law, but it's ironic that I wanted to be a mortician, but what happened is we didn't have mortuary science in school, and I knew that if I came home, I wasn't gonna finish. So I just took what I had and focused on being a lawyer. That was my focus until I got to because I went to school in '96. I graduated early. I went to school in '96, and I was able to graduate in November of '99. And but prior to that, a year prior to that, I put myself through the police academy in Ohio. So I became a police officer in Ohio during my last year, and then I applied while finishing my last year, finishing the police academy. Well, I had finished the police academy, worked at Central State Police Department, got hired there, and was going on my working on completing my last year, my senior year of school, which I graduated early. I then had applied also for Detroit and Ohio State Highway Patrol, which I got hired for both. It was either I go to Detroit from the police department I was there. I was either go to Detroit on February 7, 2000, or go to Ohio State Highway Patrol on February 27th. That's the option that I had coming out of college. And I had another option to work for this youth group, making a lot more money, but I decided to be the police. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So Detroit, how did you pick and choose Detroit over Ohio? What?
Well, I picked Detroit because I knew the department I was at. I could have stayed there, could have moved up after a lot of years, but I mirrored the Detroit versus Ohio State Highway Patrol. Number one, Ohio State Highway Patrol. I'm not going to do 15, 20 years highway interdiction because a lot of the promotions are taken already. You already know how they go. So I knew that from Detroit, not because it was familiar, but through my own research. Just because I'm from the city don't mean I know, but through my research and people that I knew in the department, I knew that it was more room for advancement in the city of Detroit Police Department, not only just in rank, but just the lateral movements around the department working different units.
Mhm.
Yeah, some of our precincts are bigger than some people's departments.
Right, right.
Right. So so that's why I went there. And from there, I went to number 12, 12 special ops, from 12 special ops to narcotics, from narcotics raid unit to number 6 briefly to auto recovery. From auto recovery, I was requested to come to the medical section. That's where I met you. And in 2014, I was requested to come to teach at the training center, and then I'm still here currently to this day. Now, It's I have to bag up a little bit.
Yeah, because
Um, Let me back here. I had to bag up. So my background is I have a bachelor's in political science pre-law. I have a master's in adult education. I have a master of divinity. I have a doctorate of education and organizational leadership with the emphasis of higher learning. And then I have a master's of science and leadership. So I said them all in the order that I obtained them. So now, I was teaching in the daytime when I came out, when I got out the academy. Um, I think I purchased my first home. Then after that, I went into education. My goal was to go into education. I was policing for like 3.5 years. I was teaching for like 3.5 years, where I was teaching in the daytime, policing at night. I was teaching elementary ed, which is for one of my good friends. So when he moved out, he moved me with him. He was assistant principal at the time. Now he's a principal in the city of Detroit uh, public school system. So my goal was to get in the leadership program, become assistant principal. But when I became assistant principal, I was going to tell Detroit, I was going to give them the do sign. Right? It didn't work that way. Life happened. I got in a
right.
serious critical accident. Life happens, and then I discovered that my gifting wasn't with young elementary school kids. My gifting was with adults, and so
Okay.
that's when I switched my master's over from elementary ed to adult ed. And then
Uh,
from there, then I got my master's of divinity. I answered my call to ministry, and I was never the one to look at the glamour of preaching. I just knew that through all of my experience of life, that's what God called me to do, because that's not what I wanted to do. And if you even ask me to this day, if it was my choice, I wouldn't do it. But I know it's not my choice; it's the Lord's choice. That's what makes me successful in it, because I'm doing it in obedience to God and the Lord, based on my faith, right? So I answered my call to ministry, uh, worked in ministry for several years. I went actually started off somewhere else other than with my dad. And I told my dad, I said, I'm called to the ministry, but the Lord told me to go somewhere else. And I know my dad was thinking like, but he didn't fight it.
right,
But
because you said the Lord called you.
the,
Right,
the Lord told me to go somewhere else.
right.
Now I went to this other place, never preached. So I had my other mentor, that was me and my dad's mentor, that I used to go over and do sermon preparation. And so the Lord told me, I never preached over there, but the Lord told me to leave. But it was I didn't know at the time, but I knew at the time that the Lord had me over there for a reason. The Lord needed me to see something other than what I probably would be exposed to at my dad's church. Because my dad, a lot of things that how my dad became pastor. Back in the day, people have open church. They know you gifted. Hey, here go this church. Well, for me, it didn't work that way with me. I had to go through the interview process. I had to learn different ways and strategies. Even though you keep the Lord with you, but you got to learn how to talk to different search committees and go in and out of state for interviews. So it was a different. I didn't really have anyone to turn to when it came to interviewing, because most people that I knew, they never had to interview. So I found myself, after I told my dad that I was gonna that I answered my call to ministry. I said I always remember the scripture, 2 Timothy 2:15. And it says, study to show ourselves approved to God, where we need not be ashamed, rightly divide the word of truth. So what I gather from that is that I need more than just the Bible. Now, the Bible is everything, right? But you need to, I believe, when you're in ministry, how can you help grow people and you're not growing? So my thing is, it's not the day of back historically, the smartest person or most intelligent person in the congregation was the pastor. But now you got doctors, lawyers, astronauts, entrepreneurs. You got people that didn't go to school, but they're brilliant,
Right.
right? So you have to, as a responsible leader, you have to be conscious and responsible and mature enough to know that you don't know everything, but I'm going to get the help so that God can help me help other people.
I love that. I
And so, from there, that's when a couple years later, I worked as assistant pastor with my dad. Actually, I went to interim pastor for one of my mentors that passed away, Thomas W. Petty. He passed away. I actually was after my trial sermon. This was all in '09. And after my trial sermon, 2 weeks 2 weeks later, I preached in his pulpit, and then 2 weeks later he died. So I was the last one that he mentored that preached in his pulpit. So I'm just trying to preach, right? And the deacons called over to my dad and say, "Well, we need some help. Can you send somebody over there?" So my dad thinking of somebody else. He said, "Well, I'll send such and such." They said, "No, can you send Smith Jr.?" Now I'm the second, but they always call me Junior. I
Junior.
said, "Can you send Smith Jr.?" So I'm thinking about just preaching. I ain't thinking about pastoring. And
Right.
so that's how I walked into understanding that not only God called me to preach, but He called me to pastor.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So now you've got your ministry, you got your education.
Some
Um,
of it at the time.
right. So you
Yes,
get
ma'am.
this career as a police officer. You're also
Yeah.
preaching.
Yes.
When did you start thinking about getting married?
Well, we got to bag up. I've been married now 21 years, together 26. Me and my wife, we got together in 90s. We met in 96. We got together in 97, and we got married in '02.
How did
So
you meet her? Were you in school?
we were. She went to Wilberforce, and I went to Central State.
Okay.
Now we went all the miles away. We went like 3.5 hours away to only literally stay 5 minutes from each other. I
In
stayed
Detroit.
at in Detroit. I stayed at like the area of Connors between Harper and Gratiot, and she stayed right there at eight on the Detroit side at 8 Mile and Van Dyke. Literally
Wow.
5 minutes. Yeah,
You
and never
crossed.
crossed paths. Never crossed paths. Yeah. Yeah, she was acting funny at first when I met her, but then I always tell her she told me to get my number from somebody else. Like I was gonna go to another dude to get her number. She's like, you know him, get my. I said, all right. So I ignored her. I just kept on moving there. I remember one day I saw her prior to going to our sophomore year. That like that June before we left for school. She saw me, and then when I got back, I saw her at a party, and we've been talking ever since.
Okay.
Yeah, in '97. Yeah, October '97. Yeah.
So, did you think about having children? After decided to get married, did you? Is that a consideration?
Nope.
No.
Not right then because see, we was on an educational journey, and
Right.
so I was a little different. We were actually engaged in college.
Okay.
So a lot of people say you don't know when you don't know, but one thing about me, when I know, and I guess I must have knew, huh? And we
Okay.
both must have knew. So we was
Right.
engaged like since I think it was February of '98, February '98, and so we've been married 21 years and together 26.
All right. So, let me see. All right. So, did you want to marry her as soon as you met her, or
No, I had a. I'm glad you asked that question. No, I was a little wise at my age as I look back now. Now I understood because I grew up with only knowing parents being married, two family household. So I didn't experience seeing mom with different men or seeing my dad with different women. I didn't see that. I always saw the union. That's
right?
all I saw. That was my household. So that's all I knew. That's all I focused on. I didn't focus on a lot of other stuff. So um, once we once we got together, now my wife she did come from a divorced household. So and I always kept that in the back of my head. But sometimes you got to give people a fair shot. You can't say just because mom and dad did it, she'll do it, right? But sometimes our track records do go like that based on our family history. So my wife, she came from a divorced childhood. So that's all I knew. So I just when I knew that I knew what we did after we got engaged, we finished school. I finished in '99. I came through the academy in 2000. She was still in her senior year of school at Wilberforce. We I came back in June of 2000 and walked. And then she said, well, I want to get married. I said, well, aren't you going to get your master's? My wife is a social worker. I said, why don't you get your master's? Now, one thing I did know, I was smart enough to know, once we say I do,
Right.
that's my responsibility financially. Now, I was just getting myself together too, because I was just coming to a new job, all that. So I say, no, I want you to go to school, and when you finish your master's, I'm getting embedded in Detroit Police Department. Then we'll get married. As soon as you graduate, we can get married. Then, but also I knew that if she had that master's, her mom say if she ain't married, she'll pay for it, right? So you gotta be wise. I already had a bunch of loans, but I say it like that, and it's kind of I don't want it to sound funny, but really what I focused on is that the honest truth is that if we got married, then now I was afraid she was gonna say, "Well, no, I'm not gonna go to school. Let's have kids." That's how it always go. They have a plan before and say, "Well, no, I'll finish school. I'll do this." No, it don't work that way. So I say, "Look, you finish school, we get married. That's it." And so we stuck to that deal.
Okay, and that worked out fine.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, how many children do you guys have?
We have three. We have Gregory Anthony Smith the third. He's 17 years old, senior in high school. We have Gabrielle Amaria Smith. She's 14. She's a freshman in high school. And then we have Gavin Alexander Smith. He's an 8-year-old and he's third grader.
Okay, so all GAs, GAS,
Oh,
gas.
gee.
Okay.
Yeah. And with my daughter, her name is because we couldn't find a good A name. So what I did, I looked at Samaria in the Bible, took the S off, and made it Amaria.
All right.
So that's how her name
Creativity
came
as
about.
well.
Yeah.
All right.
And then my great grandmother name was Samaria as well.
All right.
Yeah.
So, you say your mom and dad have been married a long time.
Yeah, but it was
What
like
about
before she
your
passed 40
grandparents?
something.
Huh?
Grandparent, yeah, my grandparents were too. I think my grandparents, when my granddad died, I think they were married at least over close to over 40, almost 50 some years, 40
Okay.
some years. Yeah.
All right.
Both sets of my grandparents, all I ever known was marriage. Now you never know people have trouble, but my both sets of my grandparents on my mom's side stayed married. On my dad's side, stayed married. And I'm quite sure they had challenges along the way, but all I know is they stayed married and lived with each other.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell me about your parents and your grandparents.
Uh,
Your relationship with them.
okay. So my dad is from the city of Detroit. He went to East Advocarian and East Catholic High School, played football. Uh, worked at from what well, I know it because he told me and other people confirmed he worked at a place called Laurie Brothers on Van Dyke and Grass. You ever heard that? You never heard that? Okay. All right. You from here? You're from here?
Yeah, West Side
Okay,
for sure.
okay. Oh, that's why. That's why. That's why.
West Side.
I'm. You asked me something on the west side, I wouldn't know either, so don't feel bad. So yeah, it was Laurie Brothers. Then he went away to the military for a couple of years, 2 years, and then came to the Marines, and then came back, and then that's when he met my mom because my mom then now moved from Arkansas, Marion, Arkansas, to by way of Chicago to Detroit with her sisters, and they end up living across the street from my dad over on near Hancock Street and my Elliott.
And
And
that's how they
so
met, being
that's how
neighbors.
they met. Yeah, being neighbors. Yeah, that's how they met. And then from there, they end up moving to where my childhood home was near on Maiden near Connors, and that's where we live.
Okay. And what about your grandparents? Do you remember spending time with them?
Yes, my grandparents down south, which is my mom, dad, mom and dad, which their last name was Johnson. His name, her name was Alina C. Johnson, and his name was Willie. So they stayed in Mariana, Arkansas, and then my dad's parents was named Dorothy. I gotta get that right. Yeah, Dorothy B, and then Smith, and then William, which they call him Bill Smith. Now Dorothy B, my grandma she's one of the few that named her daughter after her. So my auntie name is Dorothy A. So that's why I was saying Dorothy B. So yeah,
Okay.
so they.
All right.
So and my relationship with them was really it was close to all of them, but I was closer because of frequency with my dad's parents because like around when I was 15, I got my permit. So my other cousin stayed with him, but he decided he wanted to go live with his godmother in Atlanta. So that stuck me at age 15 and a half, almost 16. My granddad had prostate cancer. So I moved in with them for the summer prior to going to high school, and then take him to all his doctor's appointments and all that. And then shortly after he died, like a year later.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was in the early 90s.
Mm.
Yeah, so I was close to them. Then my grandma, she passed away, probably approximately about 9 years ago. Yeah. But she had dementia. Yeah,
Mm.
so was smart as a whip before that dementia hit her. But I had good grandparents. Yeah, good grandparents
That's
on both
good.
sides.
So, does your extended family have traditions or special holidays that you always celebrated?
Definitely the normal Christmas, Easter, definitely those. And then we have a lot of times we have every other or every few years we have family reunions where we all get together.
Do the Thanksgiving thing at one
Yeah,
person's house, or you?
yes, we do Thanksgiving in one person's house. So how it was split, we would either go over my mom's sister's house where they all cook because all her sisters moved to Michigan. Some of the brothers, it was 13 of them with my mom,
Whoa.
and she's actually the first to pass away out of 13. So yeah, that's something. So it's still well,
Is she the youngest, or in the middle, or?
she's the second oldest girl. I think the fourth oldest child, second oldest girl. So my oldest uncle just passed away last year, but it's been about a year now. So he was the second out of 13. So we used to go on that side of the family. Then they lived a long time. She was lived to like 60 something. He was 70 something. She was 67. So and then we would go over my dad's um, side of the family home, but it was already known that even though it's looked like separate sides, you will have people from that side, this side, that side still at the
Good.
at the function. So,
Good.
so both sides of the family got along really well.
That's good. That's good. So, have you adopted those traditions now with your immediate family, with your
Yes, well,
kids?
yes, like with my wife, me and my wife, we always cook on Christmas. We was just talking about today what to cook for Thanksgiving. She said, "Oh, we might not cook a turkey." So you know me, I was like, "Well, that's because my wife she turned vegetarian last couple of years." So
Good
I
for
was like,
her.
"Well, we're gonna have right. Her, yeah, for her, yeah. I didn't get that email yet, so that's right. I didn't get that email, so I said, "Well, let's just cook macaroni, greens," and she's like. Macaroni cheese, greens. What else did I say? Yams. And then I said fry some fish, fried chicken, and I'll make some oxtail.
Mm,
Keep it simple. And then she
okay.
want to make some dressing, we make that. But because you always do the turkey and all that. Oh, and then we did say a ham. But
Okay.
sometimes it does. We do all the traditional stuff, and you just after a while, you get tired. We both say, I don't want that the next day or two. So I say, just let's do something different,
So, do
that we
you
normally
invite
don't
your
do.
cousins and your aunties and uncles over, or do
Yep,
you
yep.
go?
I invite them over, but they still, because our family's kind of big in its pockets, so they
Right.
cook where they cook where they always invited. But just traditionally, my mother-in-law, my dad, always come over to our house.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So, who would you say you're more like, your mom or your dad?
Probably a little of both, but I'm probably a mirror of my dad. But when it came to academics, and I'll probably have my mom. My dad is smart guy, but my dad he like a they say we like a split image. I'm just light
Really?
skinned, he dark skinned, yes.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like both of them because in certain ways because I get traits from both of them. I got my mentality from my dad though. I can tell my demeanor and stuff. So
Now, your dad's father, he was not a minister. Did
no,
he work out? He worked outside the home, or did he have his own business?
he worked at Chrysler, retired from Chrysler, and he was a singer at Saint Anthony's Church. So he was Catholic. So he was sing. he had one of them old opera voices. You know how we go to church and we get a
Yeah.
little gospel soul in it.
Right.
He sounded like opera, and he
Now,
sung
did
"Amazing
mom and
Grace" is the
dad
opera
sing?
style. My
Did
grandma actually, my dad's mom actually played the organ, and she actually
oh,
got me into playing the organ, and then I played for some years for my dad.
do you sing?
I, I, I do what I have to do to get it done, but I'm not a songbird.
Okay. That's another
Yeah,
thing
I
about
know my limits.
okay, that's another thing about preachers kids. You either have to preach, you have to sing, you have to play the organ, you have to play the drums. Was that
But
your
what's funny, I was different. I wasn't forced. Now I tell you how I learned how to how to play the organ. What kind of now I should have took it a little bit more serious, but what pushed me to play it? I got a job at McDonald's. And they told me, just hear me out. They told me to clean the suction, so I'm working, and they was like clean suction. So I looked in there, and it was all nasty, and I said, I can't do this. Not that I was too good for it. I just knew that's just what I was gonna do. I
right?
called my daddy. I say I'm finished working. He said, "You want me to come get you?" I say, "No, I'll walk home." And then ever since then, I was practicing. Then I was playing for churches, and actually, I was actually playing for another church, and not my dad's. Not my dad was at the time. And so that's how I did it. Then I worked in the hardware for Bomberito Hardware as in my teenage years, and then went to Triangle Hardware. Yeah, so yeah, that's how I got. I wasn't forced. I did
Right.
start off playing the drums, but I started off musically because of my grandma and my cousin. And my cousin was a drummer, and
Okay.
he lived with us. It was my dad's oldest brother's son, and my dad
Hmm.
raised him.
Okay.
He was a phenomenal drummer. And my
Wow.
grandma played the organ. And then later on in his life, he just quit his job. He used to work at the courts. St. Lord told him to play the organ, and he was one of the baddest organists in the city. Then he ended up dying of cancer. Ain't that something? He learned how to do what some of the best do in like a 8 year period. I mean,
Wow.
he was one of them type of musician could play anything, but he
Where did
practiced.
he play
He
at before he passed? What church was
uh I can't think of this church. He played for several, but he played at a church over on it was on Wyoming. I can see the church, but I can't think of the name. But I know
okay?
he
What's
played
his
on
name?
Wyoming. Marquette Taylor. Yeah. Yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah.
Wow. But you
Mhm.
don't sing, you do play the organ. And
Well, I get through songs. I wouldn't don't call me for a solo selection. No, but if I gotta open up like I do every Sunday, I can sing enough to sing a congregational song and
okay.
get through it. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So your dad influenced you as a dad, you would say?
Yes. Yeah, because my dad. That's probably why I am with today to date with my kids. Uh, Around my household, my dad didn't. I didn't hear my dad cussing out my mom or her cussing at him, or he didn't cuss at me.
None of that.
No, I didn't have that experience. Like my son today, he want to hear me. He want to hear me cuss so bad. He say, "Dad, just cuss." You know, and I don't say when I say that I don't say that I'm not perfect. That I never did, but I don't cuss around my family, kids. Even my wife, we've been married 21 years together, six. I never cussed at her. I
Good
say
for
the day I feel like I got to put my hands on your cuss. That's a damn would be like deuces, because I just don't cross. You don't cross that line.
right.
That's just me, and it don't
Right.
take you to cuss me out to get a point across. Now, I'm not saying we all think some stuff. Nah, I ain't. We human, but
Right.
I don't cross the line because of respect, and
Okay.
don't cross that line because of how I was raised. That even when we were dating, I told her if you hang up the phone on me, don't call me back. If I hang up the phone on you, don't expect me to call you back. Because what
Wow.
happens, I believe that creates habit. I've been like that since I was younger. So
Okay.
even I don't you can say what you got to say to me, but don't cross the line. Like I can talk. You can ask one of my kids, do your dad cuss your mom because your dad they how? Nope, we don't do that. Now, do we have disagreements? Yes, because I believe that your children need to see you have healthy disagreements.
Right.
Anybody sit there and say they perfect. No, you're not. But it's not what you do; it's how you do it. I
Exactly.
can't expect my children. I shouldn't expect my children to be one way and that I'm not. Do as I say, not as I do. Right? If they go to school and cuss, I want to rearrange their face. Well, I tell parents, if you cuss in front of your kids and they go and cuss out the teacher or do something else, you need to hit yourself first.
Right.
because it's about example. Now I tell people if you have done it, then you can correct it, but that's just not me. And plus, my dad, when I was growing up, he said a person that use a lot of profane language have a limited vocabulary. Use your words and learn how to use them well.
True, true,
Yeah.
true.
And just to share a story, one of my sons one time, he was like, he's 17 now. I think he was like 9. We went to a local Family Dollar near our home, and this lady, this clerk she had like a bad attitude, and I was like, well, ma'am, I said, you didn't have to come here this morning. Sometimes when we're having bad days, we should probably choose not to come to work versus coming to work and making other people's lives miserable along with yours because you're not wanting to be here that day. He'll say, but life happens, right? So I was that smooth, cool. So we get in the car and he say, look great. That's why you gotta be careful what you say because they listen to you. He say, Dad, can I ask you something? I say, yeah. He say, no, he said, can I tell you something? That's what he said. I said, yeah, go ahead. He said, you were smooth, Dad. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you told that lady off without getting dogmatic, and you told that lady off without cursing, and you told her off without getting angry. I said, what do you mean? He said, you told her exactly what she needed because she shouldn't have came to work this morning, how she was acting. That was a
That's
9-year-old.
beautiful.
Yeah. So you have to be, careful what you do, but always just believe. Now people can make you mad. I gotta,
Right.
I ain't perfect. People can make you mad now, but you have to look at the risk versus the reward. That's what I call it. You
Gotcha.
don't want to take that risk and lose your character.
I agree. I agree. What's your favorite story about growing up that you often will tell your children?
Mm, I would say, favorite story, bad or good or what? Of this.
It's your favorite. It's
Oh,
your
I would say, well, my story when it comes to discipline, I'll say my dad, because my dad only really touched me up like, well, I take that back. I used to get spanked with a paddle. I didn't get hit with belts and all that other stuff. My dad had this paddle that said, "Feed me, boo boo. Be good, no good. Be bad, be bad. You be sad." My dad had a military mentality, so but my dad was also he wasn't. He looked at discipline as business. He didn't look at it as anger or he said you never hit your kid when you're angry. And they say a lot of times, he said depending on the kid, he say physical is not always the way. I learned that from my dad,
right.
but I could do something to you that's not physical that you want me to tap that butt, right?
Mhm.
So my dad, when I was like 7, I got in trouble when I was like I had about 8. Got in trouble and I got kicked out of school. So
At
he
eight?
was oh yeah, I got good grades, but oh yeah. Thank God to my one of my principals, Miss Alice Smith. She just turned I want to say 93 or 96, 96, I think. But I think 96, I believe. But I just went to her birthday celebration. And you know how Lions fans I am, right? You know I'm a Lions fan. I turned down my tickets. I gave up my tickets. I gave them away so I could be there with her. Yeah, oh yeah. So you know what she meant to me, right?
A lot.
And so I
Wow.
was like, so you know what she meant to me. So I went there with her. But she was the reason that I'm on my academic journey. She was the reason why I stayed in school because she was old school. My dad tapped me. She like, all right, Mr. Smith, that's enough. He'll be all right. Dust him off, and he going back to class. Yeah, and so to get back to it, I was what I say I was 8 years old. What was I talking about?
Yeah, you
I was
got kicked
8.
out of school at 8. Were
Oh,
you a class clown?
kicked out of school. Yeah, I was just getting into. I mean, one time I pulled a chair from under the little girl. I was just like, I was Gregory. So my dad, he stayed on me, but he didn't make it personal though. That's what I was getting at. My dad would. Oh, get back. So I was 8. So I was at home, right? He told me to go outside and scrape the garage. So you don't watch TV, you don't do nothing. He said, bro, you must gonna be a good butler if you don't be good in school because you're gonna be working for people if you're gonna keep getting out of school. So he made me go scrape the garage. I said, well, I can't reach up there. He said, hold your hand up. I hold my hand. He said, scrape to there. Yeah. So it was physical labor that he made me do. So, but it taught me that either you're going to make the right decision or wrong decision, yet there are consequences. But one thing that in a discipline that I always remember is when I took my daddy car. Yeah, I took his car.
What?
Yes, I took it. I was there going, you know how we go. Look, kids took car.
No, you don't take
15.
You don't.
And look, I did, and he beat me like I stole. So he gave me some kidney shot because what happened when I came back, the muffler fell off, right? So so I didn't get it back on there. So my dad got like about 3 or 4 cars in the driveway. So I go and get in, go to sleep, and he said that he was saying to my mom, he said, "Hey May," because my mom named Mary Lee, right? He's like, "Hey May," he said, "Was my car? I think I heard my car outside." And my mom would say, "No, Tony, that car was too loud." And so say, "Go on back to sleep." So he didn't think nothing. So he asked me to, he used to, at that age, I was like 15 and a half, 15, something like that. He used to always let me drive. I knew how to drive. I knew how to learn how to drive at like 12. So I knew how to drive. So we always let me move the cars and all that. So he said, bro, go. That's what he called me, bro. He said, bro, go move the car. So I go move the car, and I knew when I, when I started up, my heart fell at my feet. I was because I knew it was like right. So I moved the car around. He said, bro. He said, come here, bro. He said he took my car. I just froze. My sister was like, she took off on me because she was like 8 years older than me, right? She's like, no, I did. He said, no, you didn't. And he worked me over. That's the only time he really got at me. Other than that, hey, I ain't take nothing. Yeah, yeah, I learned that lesson.
Wow.
That
You
was
had to learn.
hilarious. Huh?
Where were you going with this car to hang out with your
Oh, we go and
friends?
see, hey, pick up my cousin. We go and see little girlfriends at night. You know how they go.
So wait,
Yeah,
you had been doing this all along, but you just got caught because the muffler fell off.
because the buffalo fell. Yeah.
You
And that's
sound
why,
like a typical teenager. I
and
just
look,
picture them
that's why I got
being
love for,
frightened to death.
and that's why I got love for Detroit policemen because that night we had got pulled over because we was in my grandma's car too. We had got pulled over because we put our car back in the driveway, and then we continued in our car, and we got pulled over. And I know these officers did. I think they retired now, and they pulled up. They say, I said we got permit with grandma car. They said, man, take y'all butt home. I said when I ride by that car ain't there, I'm gonna knock on the door. Y'all gonna be in some trouble. And so that's how I got some. I like discretion, and I love these Detroit police because they saved our butt that night. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah.
good. That was very very kind of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a story that I often remember of my dad. But really just the family life is what I most remember of our life.
Mhm.
Yep,
You share
growing
with
up.
your kids about getting
Yeah,
like now. I've talked to a couple of dads, and they say they don't whoop their kids. They take away their phones, or they take away
that
that
too.
Xbox, or they take
Yep,
away whatever that other TV machine toy is that you can operate on. Whatever the
that's
new,
true.
yeah,
That
whatever.
hurts. But it depends. It
Yes.
depends on it depends on what they do. Because sometimes you can get some teenagers and they get the feeling boys. They get the feeling they self.
Hmm.
And so sometimes you might have to leverage on them a little bit. Let them know they don't run this. So
Has your
so
son
yeah.
ever
But
decided that he's a uh, he's equal to you yet? Has he granted
no,
out?
he ain't crazy. One time he was doing
Say you're
something.
not crazy.
He ain't crazy. He ain't lost his complete mind. No,
Okay.
but one day he was telling me something. I'm trying like, all right, well, police in my nature,
Mhm.
investigators in my nature. So you say something, I'm start asking questions because the
Right.
only better way I can help you, I need to figure out what's the problem, right?
Right.
And so I'm asking and trying to overtalk me. Right now, you come to me for help. And so I'm talking to her. So my wife's sitting there. Look, she usually take her phone. So he's sitting there, and I say, "Hey, I say, so what about this? Well, no, you don't understand." For I knew it. I was like, pop all the way through the door. My wife's like, woo, like, she sit back, it's already. I said, boy, don't you ever raise your voice in my house. I said, I know sometimes we lose sight of things. I said, but I'm the only one, we the only one raising voices in here. You got
Okay.
me? All right. And he went from here to here real fast.
Good. Good.
So, but we all. I mean, but he don't. There's no like I've seen some kids even growing up, like they disrespect their fathers and they just that ain't happening. That ain't happening. You know the old saying, "I brought you this world, I take you out." That's what would happen before you just be dogmatic to me and your mama. Oh, that ain't happening. Not in my house.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
So
I'm
before
old school.
I hear you. So before your children were born, what about being a father excited you the most?
Well, To be honest, I'm gonna be honest. I never thought about being a father until I became a father.
Okay.
I knew what a father looked like from my
Right.
father, right? So I knew if there was any foundational work that I needed to know and learn, it was from watching my dad. So when we first had Greg, we had actually we had like three miscarriages prior to him. So we then had Greg. So I never forget. We had the baby. We was at St. John Hospital. So we happy we had the baby, all that. So they go to take you discharge, right? So I had a GMC Sierra pickup extended cab. So we go set the car seat up. So you had to have all that set up before they bring my wife down and the baby down, right? So they brought her down. So we getting him in the car, new parent excitement. And so she sit in the back with him. I sit in the front seat. We put our seatbelts on. I start the car, and instantly we both start crying. Didn't know what to do. We was like, and I'm like, why you crying? She was like, why you crying? I said, I don't know what to do for real. Hey, look, and all that excitement. Hey, look, it's just like a something just overwhelming just came over me. Like, dude, this little human is counting on you. I'm like, yeah, it's
Wow.
all fine and dandy. Like I tell people all the time, even when I counsel people, I said when it comes to marriage, a lot of people want the ideal of marriage, but not the
Right.
responsibility. Coming with kids, a lot of people want the ideal of children, but don't want the responsibility. What if your kid come out with ADHD? What if your kids come out with autism?
Right.
What if their kid not perfect?
Right.
Now is your marriage gonna stand on that? Y'all got to be together. That's why that's why
Exactly.
they put the union before the child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I your boy was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do, but it ended up working out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Because you went on to have two more, so you know something, you
yeah.
did something right.
Now the third one is he's he saved us some delivery money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what happened? My wife, she was high risk at the time. This is in 2015. She high risk, and she had been on work like 3 months. So I wake up like 3 in the morning, hear the shower going. I'm like, why is she in the shower? And so me on my lazy side, roll back over.
Okay.
But on my responsible side, man, you need to get up.
Mm-hmm.
But my lazy side almost took over because I rolled back over.
Uh-huh.
But then my conscience couldn't let me lay down and rest. Say, you better get up. So I get up. I say, you all right? Yeah, yeah. And then so she turns around. Her back is to the water. And I say, you all right? Why are you taking a shower? You're not going. It's 3 in the morning. She said, oh. I said, oh, what? She said, he's coming. And I look down and saw the liquid from the water wasn't clear no more. It was like a little tint to it. So the water had broke, and water breaking ain't nothing but like urine, right? So
Right.
it's coming out, and I'm looking like, oh, I said, well, let's go get on the bed, right? And she's like, well, no, he coming. She squatted. She was like, oh, and it was like bloop. So,
Wow.
so next time you go home, when you go home, take a fresh bar of soap, stick your hand out in the tub, and just let it go. That's how it sounds. Like, doop. And
Wow.
so I was like, oh, all these people I done helped in my life, in my career. I was like, oh. And then the first responder snapped in. I picked him up, put it on the commode, swiped his mouth, and then when he got a towel, wrapped him. And if I'd have knew what I knew now that they wouldn't take him to the hospital that we wanted to, then I
Uh-huh.
would have just tied his umbilical cord and cut it and then took him to St. John. But we ended up going to the right one because the hospital that we ended up going to, she was a neonatal cranial doctor. And, with him hitting his head, popping out. Yeah. So he delivered himself at home.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't make that up. I promise you,
And
no
he's
embarrassment.
perfect now, though. There's nothing
Oh
wrong, right?
yeah, he's smart as a whip. He's
Good.
in he's in the third grade, reading at the fifth grade level.
Wow.
Smart kid, yeah.
Beautiful.
I got to touch
Beautiful.
him up every now and then. He remind me a little bit of me every now and then. So got to touch him up. My daughter, I look at her. My son, my older son, I got to take stuff from him. I take that phone, them car keys.
Yeah.
And my daughter, I look at her, and every now and then I take her phone, but I usually don't have to do that. And then my little one, I take stuff from her, take that video game, take that cell phone. You shattered their world.
Wow.
Now every now and then I got to touch my little one up a little bit now, but I can't remember the last time. It's been far and few between. Because I'm more of the fusser. I'm more of the lesson. Like I stay on. See, I tell my wife, she get
Talking.
mad. By the time she get mad, she say, you fuss too much, right? Yeah, but by the time you get mad, they're gonna have to call the police or the EMS because you mad. Right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I talk I share the lessons as we go because it's not personal to me. It's
Right.
business. And I say they may not understand why daddy fuss so much now. Cause I look my kids in the eye and say, now I say, do I just like I was telling my daughter last night, cause she got this little temper tantrum thing sometimes. I say, I'm gonna spank them feet, keep on playing with me. I mean, one time she was little, I spanked them little feet. I say, I'm like my grandma, I'm gonna touch the thing you using for your bad behavior. I take a
Okay.
little thing, I took a little spoon, tap the little feet, and she ain't do that sometimes. So I told her last night, I said, you got to be careful your little disposition because you don't want to do nothing. I say you can be have a bad disposition, and then when you're ready to reconcile or ready to be dealt with, then not the other person mad because of your bad behavior or your bad disposition. I said, how would this look? Me and your mama go to work, bust our butt every day, go to work, buy y'all stuff. Y'all don't need nothing, no want nothing. I said, but what if you was going to work for me? I'm your child. You going to work, and every time you ask me to do something, I frown. How would that go over? Well, Dad, I guess you right. I say, I know I'm right. I say, so get it together. I say, because what you do now becomes a habit.
Right.
And you can do it in the professional field, and all they're gonna do is replace you because some people are not gonna tolerate bad behavior or bad demeanors.
Right.
I said, so you gotta check that right now. And I said, what I don't want you to do is grow up where you act a certain way with your family, treating them a certain way in a negative way, and then go to work and treat those people like gold. Oh no, you
Right.
don't do that. How many people we know do that professionally? They treat people at work like, hi, how you doing all that, and go home and treat their family like garbage. Oh no, not in here.
Right.
You should treat all people right, but you definitely make sure you treat the ones that you love. You treat them with the most utmost respect because at the end of the day, when a job gone, a scholarship gone, opportunity is gone, your family that loves you gonna be there.
Exactly.
Yep.
Amen to that. Amen
Yes,
to
ma'am.
that. Now you
Mhm.
say your son has a car. Did you buy him the car?
Yeah, we bought it like Sash, his grandmother bought it, but we bought half. We all put in for it, and then
Who
for
does
his
he work to put gas in it, or do you put the gas in it?
well, that's when well, my daddy called him. What did he call him? Mr. Wonderful. So he got a job, but he did play football. So
Okay.
he out of football. So I told my wife, I say, well, I say, you need to start saving his money, and or you take it and be his banker for him. I
Right.
said because when something go wrong with this car, I'm not doing it because what I'm learning is that he's 17. You got to learn responsibility. You're not gonna blow your money and blow mine too.
Right.
No, you think differently when it's yours, right?
Mhm.
You value the value of a dollar when it's yours and you work for it, right?
Right.
So like I said, he should have been paying his insurance. So to prove a purpose, I'm like my daddy when it comes to this. I say I'm not paying for this insurance. He should do it. He got a job now. I'll do it on off season, but when season come back, he need to get a job or he be walking. She like, well, that inconvenient. I say, see, that's the problem. When you can't punish a kid based on the convenience of you,
Right.
you can't do that. Sometimes it's gonna inconvenience us,
Hmm.
right? But I'm gonna prove a point because all he's gonna do if he keep doing it, then what's gonna happen? Oh, mom, let's take my kids as soon as they need something. They go, nah, bro, you be walking on me. I
Right.
make arrangements for the other two kids. You'll be walking
Hmm.
because because what happens as a parents, I believe we create monsters. Then we wonder why we can't control these monsters because you have created this monster that you now can't control.
Right.
So like for me, I'll help him with stuff, but just like he wear Crocs every day. This is an example for me. Huh? Boy, wear Crocs every day. Homecoming come up. So homecoming come up. I want these shoes. Now, boy got like 20 pair of brand new shoes because he don't wear gym shoes. So he got something in there. Some kids don't have them. He got them.
Right.
I want to, and she like, well, my wife was like, well, you know how the kids is. I said, okay. I said, well, you buy them. I ain't buying them. I say because, and this is more so raising him,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily to help because see what you allow. Well, he know what I ain't gonna do
Right.
because dude, but I can't make his mama not. She can do what she want to do, right? She grown, so I,
Right.
I ain't gonna get in there. I'm just telling what I ain't gonna do, so you don't look at me,
Right.
right? So she go on and get him the shoes he gonna wear for 1 or 2 days, right? So my goal is, all right, if you wanted them shoes, now this is where I would come in at. If I was gonna get them, you want them shoes, right? He say, yeah. I said, well, half at. You give me half, I go in with you. Can't meet me halfway. I ain't wearing them. So what I'm
Right.
gaining? Because he's 17. This is why he's going to be a young man. That'd be different. My 14 and my 8-year-old. They ain't working. They ain't doing nothing. But
Right.
dude, you're making choices now. And the choices that you're making, I pray that you don't make a choice that you cannot recover from.
Right. Right.
Right. So in making choices, my dad made me buy my first car from him when I was 16. Oh, he said, bro, how you want to do? You want to pay me bi-weekly, every week, or every month? He said, now I need you to know something. He said, you miss a payment and you promised me the payment and you don't make prior arrangements. I ain't talking about the day of or the day
Right.
before. You got to know a week in advance what's going to happen. He said, if you don't know, he said, I'm repoing it. And he did. And he will do. I believe him. He ain't have to get mine. I paid him on time.
Okay.
And he always made me give my mama $25.
Mm-hmm.
He said, not that we don't need your money. He said, but what I need you to know, what you eating up,
Mm-hmm.
it's more than that $25 that you get. And my mom would try to give it back to me, but I was also afraid he would find out. You just keep that $25, right? But what all I try to do is we have to be, and I heard Steve Harvey said, like sometime in marriage, women get upset with how we're raising these young boys, not the
Mm-hmm.
girls, young boys. And so the question is, if I'm raising him in a certain way and disciplining him in a certain way, do you want him to become the man that I am? And if the answer is yes, then why are you interfering?
Right.
Because I do know, and I tell people this don't sound male show. There are women that can raise some good men, but
Mm-hmm.
it takes a man to do certain things for a young man to be a man. Now, just like women, I believe I can raise my daughter to the T, but it's some stuff, Sarah, that I can't do because I ain't no woman.
Right.
It's just a fact. I know women get mad when they hear, well, you just can't raise no boy to be no man. No, I believe good men can come out of a single family home, which is a woman. But
Right.
also I believe good women could come out of a single family home, which are raised by men.
Right.
But there are somebody in the path and in the travels of your life of the same sex that you're going to need to teach you how to be that particular sex
Exactly.
in adulthood.
Right.
I just believe that. So
I do too.
and my wife, she's getting there. She said, "Well, you right," and I said, "Baby, I ain't trying to be right. It's just about we got to be on the same page." Because one
Yes.
thing I tell people, my children are gonna come between me and my marriage, and
That's
so
right.
often, what people, whether it's somebody I know, our family members, they get the kids like 18, 19 years old, and then all of a sudden they discover they don't like each other once their kids get old. You know why? Because they put them kids before them.
Or, mhm.
Right, you gotta put your marriage point. It's a tough balance because bruh, she don't see no wrong in him till he get on her, and then they try to keep it from, you know how it go. They try to
Yeah.
keep it me because they want me to hear because they think I'm gonna say I told you I was right. No,
Right.
but she do identify. Hey, look, you can't baby him and then you expect him to have
Being
this
adult.
responsibility, be an adult, but that's unfair to him. Now I
Yes.
do believe in fairness. If we giving them everything, right? You give them
Right.
everything, and then as soon as they get out of high school, you say bye. No, that's unfair
Right.
because you should have been preparing them. Now, if I'm preparing you, you ain't listening. I'm preparing you, you ain't listening. Now we got to go with Gregory A. Smith Sr. Say every tub got to sit on his own bottom.
All right.
So because I was a different breed, and my wife, I didn't even know she was paying attention. She said, "Your dad did this, this, and that. He in college, he did this and that. He sold chicken dinners. He cut hair. He did that. He went to school, got his degrees. Blah blah blah." She ran this down to it one day. I didn't think she would. I didn't think she knew me like that. I said we've been together all the time, but the whole idea, I reflected off that and said I must be doing something right. Not that I'm perfect, But that's why I don't cuss in front of my kids. That's why I watch my behavior in front of my kids. I watch who I bring around my children. My son, he try to bring his friends over sometime, and I say no. Number one, because I'm a police officer and got guns in the house. Number
Right.
two, everybody ain't your friend. I tell them
Right.
everybody that smile at you ain't your friend. I
Mhm.
saying you got to understand the difference between associates and friends. You know, friend will ride with you. Friend, you know who your friend is when you become a burden to them and they still rolling with you. That's
Yeah.
a friend. You know, so I say, be careful. I say, well, Dad, you don't trust nobody. I say, no, I just trust who I trust.
Okay.
So
That's-
yeah, so yes, ma'am.
So, what types of activities do you do with your children?
We cruise a lot. We have a lot of fun. Well, at this juncture, activities we plan, we go on to football events, swimming meets, band recitals, basketball games. You know, my little one play basketball and football. He really like basketball now, so he's in basketball. We actually looking for an AU team for him now. My daughter, she swim, basketball, and band, and my oldest son, he just football. High school quarterback.
Okay. But you're
Yeah.
stressing that they got to get
And
those grades before they do the
oh,
athletic stuff, right?
it's not about being an athlete. You have to be a
Right.
student athlete. When my kids was like, they were like, I think when they be able to talk, maybe 3 or 4 years old. I used to always share with them. I said, education is what they say mandatory, and I say, what else? They say not an option.
All right.
Yeah. So not saying that everybody likes school because I understand that, but I'm not just gonna let you just go get a job at the corner store just to be letting to stay in my house. No, you got to have a plan
Right.
because you're not gonna be my burden for another 10, 15 more years. No,
Mhm.
and you're not. But I don't want you to feel like you can't take care of yourself. That's why we set this foundation so that you can be able to take care of yourself, grow into adulthood, understand the responsibility, so you can take care of yourself.
Right.
Yep. So, yep.
So, have you told your children how to handle the expectation that people have of them because of who you are? You're the pastor, and these are your kids. So they kind of expect for your kids to be a certain way. Have you had to have that talk with them?
Nope.
Good.
Because what I share with my children, I want them to be kids. Ministry was what God called me to do. He didn't call them to be a pastor, at
Right.
least as I know of at this time. Right? That was what He called me to do, and I feel that you shouldn't put the weight of your anointing or your gifting on your children, and that's not their weight to carry. Now, are they going to church? Yeah. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I get that, right?
Okay.
But but to have my kids not be kids. If they got an event and so happen we all like to be there, but like my son was in football camp, he had to leave some time ago.
Mhm.
Now it's not about him leaving church and going, right? It's about are them grades right, which will be your ticket to go.
Okay.
Church gonna be there. We're
Mhm.
gonna make sure you on that. So I allow my kids to be kids.
Good.
Just because I have a responsibility, don't mean that that weight shall fall on them. I
Okay.
think that's so unfair because a lot of PK kids they try to shelter their kids and then half of them come up pregnant and all this other stuff because you're not allowing them to live and expose and what's your dream may not be their dream and that's okay. Now one of my children end up preaching, I'm a nurturer, but I'm not. I wouldn't put this weight on them because I know what it is.
Mhm. Good.
Yep.
So, what what do your kids want to be when they grow up? Have you talked about that? Have they
My
gotten that far?
well, my 17-year-old, he wants to be a police officer, but I'm trying to encourage him to go to school first.
Okay.
But he wants to be a police officer. My daughter wants to be a neurosurgeon,
All right.
and the little one, he's just trying to make it through the third grade.
Okay.
So I say he good kid, good grade. He just hadn't shared what he wanted to be. So,
Okay. Well, don't rush them. Don't
but
rush
we what we think we believe just by watching his traits, we
them.
we we, we wouldn't be surprised if he become a veterinarian.
Oh, he loves pets. Okay.
Yeah, love pets. He one of the only kids that I know that can walk up to a pit bull, and I talking about some vicious ones, and he's not nervous.
Mm.
Nah, I can't do it.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I ain't
Wow.
walking up to a poodle. They got teeth, right? So,
Okay.
but he really loves animals though.
Now you say you watch your youngest one, so and you kind of figure out, you think what he's going to be. So, what do you think that's something that every dad should know about their children? You can watch yours and see, this one wants to be a veterinarian, this one wants to be a police officer. What do you think every dad should know about their children as they watch them grow up every day?
I believe that every dad should know about their children is that their children know that they can come to them at any time. I think that's very important because you can't get to know a person if you don't have access to them. They
Mhm.
just gonna give you their representative, right?
Right.
So I always tell my children, whatever you do, I don't care, right, wrong, and different. Don't lie to me.
Mhm.
Tell me the truth because if you lie to me and somebody else tell me something happened, I'm gonna have to believe them because your track record say you lied, right?
Right.
So I always just want them to know. I want to know about them that they always can come to me. Just for instance, me and my sons, we took my sons. My daughter didn't want to go. We went to the Baltimore Lions game,
Mhm.
and that was just like a moment. I wasn't a preacher. I wasn't a police. I was just dad, right? We were some of the stuff we listen to. Y'all been mad. People been mad. You listen to your kids like that, yeah, but you worry about some stuff they gonna hear. And I tell my kids, I say, it's not what you hear, it's what you filter not to say. I say
Right.
because it's not these kids watching YouTube. They done heard some of everything. So
Oh
so we
yeah.
riding down the road, and they listen to some stuff. I'm telling you, say, I don't know what they listen to. I felt like my mom and daddy felt. What these kids listen to, right? And then
Right.
so I put on some Scarface, and I put on some Eminem. My little one up in the front seat, he getting it right. But I share with him, and we had a ball too driving. I like
Yeah.
that road trip. But I share with him. I say, you hear these words? He said, yeah. I say, just because you hear them and because you know them don't mean you say them.
Right.
You have to have a filter. I say, now you hear all these words. He said, yeah, daddy. I said, do you hear me use them? Have I called you any of these all your life? He said, nope. I say, that's called filtering.
Mhm.
Just because you can don't mean you should.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just my kids knowing that they have. I need them to know that they have access to me, and every dad should know that their kids are not afraid to come to them, because sometimes we're afraid to talk about even being PK. I know I'm going off to the left a little bit, but
No, you're not.
talking to your kids about sex and all that. If you don't talk to them, somebody will.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. We know what God say about it. But I know a 17-year-old, 16-year-old. Hey, if you just gonna do it, no one you ain't gonna do it here. If I catch you, we own, right? But if you're gonna do it, protect yourself,
Right.
right? And don't be afraid to come to me to ask me, right? Because so often we push our kids away and we say, "Oh, I'm raising right." Yeah, but you're pushing them to the world, and you wonder why the world got their grips on them because you are. I think what it is, you're afraid to explain the real world to them because you don't know how. And
Mhm.
sometimes the best way to do it when you don't know how, they just started talking.
Yeah.
You know how you felt at that age. Say, look, this ain't the right thing to do. Because sometimes you got to set, and I'm not saying being a friend to your kid, but you have to be accessible to your kid. You don't have to be the friend buddy. You still got to maintain your parenthood, but I believe that you need to establish such a relationship that your kid does not get like my 8-year old. He won't be 17, walk across that stage, and I don't know who walked across the stage. How
Right.
many people providing for their kids but don't know the kid that they're providing for?
Mhm.
So you gotta talk to them sometimes. Sometimes I just tell my kids, "Say, how's school going?" My daughter be want to talk. She's like, "All right," and it's okay. I don't like so no, but I keep them talking. So
Right.
they know they may not appreciate it now, but they gonna think back like, Dad used to really care about like, how school was, what was going on. But he used to force me to talk. It wasn't that he was just forcing me to talk. He was really trying to see what my day was like. Yeah.
So if they don't come to you, they go to their mom, right?
Oh yeah. They usually go to mom when they trying to be slick. Especially my son, because I'm the my daughter. She
You're
ain't strike
stern.
me as a slicker. Yeah, I'm stern. I ask questions
Yeah.
because I know the cost as a 17-year-old boy. I'm getting back to the boy. It's some decisions that if he get in, being in the environment that he's raised in the area that he's going to school at, that if he makes if he makes a decision, it's not gonna go as well as it will for as it would his white counterpart.
Mhm.
So he has to be careful. I need to know what you're doing, who you're talking to. If you talk to one of these little girls, I need to meet their parents. So if something happened, they ain't gonna say you raped her. They ain't gonna say you did that. No, we ain't having that. And I
Right.
think a lot of parents they stop being parents to be they kids' friends.
Mhm.
My thing is it was a I might be talking too much, but I'm gonna say it. My son was going to homecoming, right? And
Mhm.
so his little girlfriend is a year younger than him. She's 16. So he got a car, she don't. So they like, and then my daughter's first year of homecoming was this year too, right? So she's a ninth grader. And so my son's girlfriend, she's like she had another school, but she's in the 11th grade. He in the 12th. So I say, well, I tell my wife, you talking to her mama, her daddy, somebody, mom and dad not together. But I'm like, you talking to him? We gotta talk to somebody. That
Right.
little girl, I mean, not only I'm protecting my son, but I'm protecting that little girl too. Because I know what little boys do, I know what little girls do. No, it ain't. You ain't just about to leave up out of here and me just be okay with it, right? So I asked her. We finally got the mom on the phone, and she was like, I was like, well, so what's the curfew? She was like, 2 a.m. I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no. I said, bruh, ain't go, bruh, lucky he stayed past 11:30. You know what I'm saying? No, that ain't happening. I gave him the 12. I'm like, nah, that ain't happening.
Mm-mm.
Right. And that's a little girl. I ain't
Yeah.
let my boy stay out that long. It ain't nothing, like the old song. I might be
Ain't
dating
nothing
myself,
open
but
that late, but
hey, look, yeah, you know it. You know what I'm talking about. But I'm gonna keep it 100 and say the freaks come out at night. That's all I'm gonna
right.
say. And as I say, 7-Eleven closed their doors at 12.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You just where are they going? What are they doing? And
Right.
then they both got mad at me because I didn't let them go to this party.
Good.
So how you gonna go to a party? I said, well, where the mom and dad? Oh, they not there. It's the 20-year-old son.
Ooh.
Oh no, that ain't happening. Oh,
No.
they was hot at me. I'm like my daddy now. My daddy said the whole house be mad at me. That's all right. Everybody's safe and sound.
Had you ever had, when you were in school, had you ever had one of your friends get a girl pregnant while they were still in high school?
Not my immediate, not somebody, but somebody. No, I take that back. My cousin got a
Yeah.
girl pregnant in high school. He was
Did you
pregnant.
see
He was
how he
pregnant.
had to deal the
Yeah.
sacrifices and the stress and the
He
strain to help you realize that ain't what you want to do?
That ain't what I wanted. That ain't what I
Yeah.
wanted. Nope.
Yeah.
And he's the one that went to the military.
Okay.
Yeah. So my thing was I always said, Lord, I want to have. Now I ain't saying I was perfect growing up and going through school.
Got you.
You know,
Got
I was still a teenager.
you.
But I said, Lord, what I don't want to do is have a child out of wedlock. And then when I came on the police department, I had partners before I got married. They were paying child support, being 21, 22 years old. They get $2,500 check and only bringing 1,300 home. You like, whoa.
Right.
900 that going to, and then they had another one that. So I say, no, I don't want to live like that, or I don't want to live like where people busting my windows out because they mad at me or whatever I'm doing, because it go both ways. It wasn't just
Right.
her, it was him. He was probably doing something too, right? So
Right.
I didn't want to get in that, so I kind of found my path in doing it the right way. you know like me and my
Yeah.
wife, we didn't have those type of conflicts, and the breakup and get back together. We ain't do all that.
Okay.
Too much work.
All right. So, what family values have you taught your children?
Uh, to love one another, and to number one, you keep God first. But I tell my children all the time, you all have to take care of each other, because any day me and mommy could close our eyes. I'm saying y'all have to take care of each other. I always start off with like how you allow your kids to share food or buy things for each other. When we go, you ain't bringing one sandwich in my house. I'm old school. That ain't happening unless we all went and got something to eat, and you was getting something to eat, and then you go. That's the only way. You don't just roll up in our house a sandwich. You better eat, stand on the porch, and don't let nobody see you. Or you splitting that in 5 ways.
Okay.
Uh, the reason being that I don't come in the house without bringing all my family something.
Okay.
And if I can do it and I got to do it, you need to be conscious of it. So my kids, when we go, sometimes they have money. They be like, "Well," we be like, "It's your turn to buy y'all food." Well, my 14-year-old, she's like, okay, I do it. So you got to buy you and your brother and your sister something. Or I tell the 8-year-old, you got to buy your sister and your brother something. I tell my daughter, you got to buy both your brothers something, vice versa. So I say, you don't have to buy us nothing. But what I'm teaching them is that just because when one got access, y'all all got access. When
Okay.
one eat, y'all all eat.
That's
Either we
beautiful.
gonna eat together or we ain't gonna eat at all.
Okay.
And we
That
do that
makes
by an example. So I try to keep them tight knit because I really didn't want to have my kid. My oldest and my youngest are 9 years apart. I really didn't like that because of me and my sister. Like my sister, once I got to the sixth grade, it was just me.
yeah.
So my oldest is 9 years from my youngest. My middle is 3 years, like two and a half from my oldest, and my middle is 6 years from my youngest.
Mhm.
So it's kind of just try to keep them to be close. And they fuss at each other like a dysfunctional home, but I do know they love each other.
Okay. They
So
still got a bond. You've taught them
yeah,
that.
they got it. Yeah, they do. I can say that. Yeah, and it's not artificial.
Yeah. So what qualities do you value most in yourself as a man and as your dad?
Um, Being responsible.
Okay.
And I would say a responsible Christian, but being responsible because when I'm responsible, I'm mindful of what I do because what I do can affect the whole house.
Okay. That's good. That's
If
good.
I do something to shame my name, it's gonna shame my children because they got to deal with the blowback. Oh, your daddy was a pastor. He did that, and he did that. Or he was a police. He did that. He did that. They got to live with that too.
Right.
And it's not their fault that we brought them in this world. So I have to be. I just sum that up in being responsible. And when you're responsible to love them. You're responsible to take care of them. You're responsible to discipline them. You're responsible to watch what you do because as an example for what they see. You know, my thing is if they can't go, I can't go. I mean, we do adult stuff, but I'm just saying
Right.
if it's some places where my kids can't go, I can't go. It's just
Got you.
how it is. Now I do know. Now I'm splitting it. It is stuff that we do as adults and they can't go. But I'm
Right.
just saying, some people just take their kids to any and everything,
Yeah.
see any and everything, expose them to any and everything. People cussing around, smoking stuff around, doing
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Shooting dope. You just have to be careful because
Yeah.
they're impressionable at that age, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. What's a lesson that you learned the hard way that you share with your children?
Mm, the hard way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like for
don't steal
instance.
don't steal that car from my daddy. Yeah, that one. That one right there. Yeah. I learned that the hard way.
Don't take stuff that don't belong to you
Don't
without
belong to you
asking.
because there are
Consequences.
consequences. In my case, there were physical consequences. So yeah. And you know, and just as simple, don't take none that ain't yours. Work for what you have. If you work for something, you don't want anybody to just take yours. They should ask permission for it. And they should be readily to say a yes or a no. How they gonna get mad? It's not theirs. Right?
Right. Right.
So yeah.
So when they were well, even now, do you allow them to say try stuff and be able to fail at it? Like if your daughter say, "Well, Dad, I want to play the drums or I want to play the violin," do you
Hmm.
allow them to try something and allow them to fail at it, and then or do you say, "No, I don't think you'll be good at that"? Do you give them options to try new things?
Yeah, I give them options, but what I share with them, if you start it, you're gonna finish it.
Okay. Hmm.
So I'm not saying like if you start playing piano, you're gonna finish 20
Got you.
years
But
from
they
now.
gotta try.
But we gonna have to see this out at least 6 months to a year.
There you go. Yeah.
Because what happens is that quitting becomes a habit. My daddy
Hmm.
said it like this. He said winning becomes a habit.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, losing does too.
Yeah. I
So
like that.
yes, man. So
I like that. All right. So you tell your kids they could tell you anything. Did your dad also, your mom and dad tell you that you could tell them anything when you were
yeah,
growing
yeah.
up?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't. I don't remember it being as open as I was, but I know as I got older in my teen years, I knew that I could talk to my dad. You
Mhm.
know, there's some stuff I just wasn't gonna talk to my mom about. Yeah, I
Did you
said
have an older? Did you have another adult that you would go to? Somebody
my
like an
dad.
aunt?
Oh, but see, I had a lot of older cousins, so I was a little
Okay.
fortunate because I had people around me that cared about me. So even though we was all into some stuff, but they cared about my well being,
Right.
versus how you get into it with somebody and they don't really
Mhm.
care about your well being.
Right.
So I had older cousins that would help me in that area. But
Now,
I but I would but if I went to my dad, like I was my dad was cool.
so do you still get advice from him
Oh
and your
yeah.
cousins?
Yes, I'm having my daddy. Y'all gonna have to come get me. That's my dude right there. Yeah, that's my
Okay.
dude. I
Oh,
talk to him every day. Like he called me today. I guess I haven't talked to him in a couple of days. He said, "Bro, you must owe me some money." Yeah, because
right. When
in
you
our,
get
our
out of
community,
school talk, yeah, you
yeah,
owe
y'all tell you because you own some, right? You be dodging it, right?
yeah, you
Yeah.
just got
So
busy. Okay.
yes, man. I tell him that too. I say, bro, last time I checked, you ain't owe me nothing. He be like, oh, bro, I'm just busy, bro. But I
Yeah.
usually talk to him like at least, definitely one time a day,
Okay. All
if
right.
not three or four.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
All
sometimes we find ourselves just laughing about stuff that's you don't even know that we just say something and be busting out laughing for like 10 minutes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what advice do you give your kids about using social media or peer pressure or the possibility of bullying? And have you had to have that talk with them about that?
Yeah. Social media. Let me split that up. So social media, I tell them be careful. Once you have a digital print, you'll never get it back.
Right.
I don't care what you erase. I don't care who you got. Somebody got that print. Yeah,
Hmm.
and the dangerous part is you don't know who. I say think about people that they live their life, they made mistakes, and then they go up to be in politics or be famous, and then as soon as they get at the pinnacle of their career, somebody come out with a picture or come out with a video or something that they done that now it taints and disrupt their celebrity or their success
Hmm.
because now they got to answer the question of why they did that when they were 20 years younger.
Right.
So I say be careful. Social media, be careful what you put on there, because what you put on there, these girls be putting naked stuff on there, thinking it's cool. No, you might be somebody's mama one day,
Right.
and now you want to live free, but then when you get older, you're gonna live in regret. And so, and then also, you said social media. You said one more
Peer
thing.
pressure and
Peer
bullying.
pressure and bullying.
Possibility of
I
bullying.
try to I try to tell my kids don't feel peer pressure. I try to teach my kids how to handle what's the word am I looking for? How to handle conflict, because so often if you don't handle conflict in the right way, you become not passive aggressive. You can walk. What's the word am I looking for when you're afraid of conflict? You don't deal with the conflict, right?
Yeah, you
And
go along
so
to get along.
you
Yeah.
go along and get along, but yet that conflict that's unresolved can still harm you. It turned into bullying. Now I tell my kids I don't believe in fighting in school, but you don't let nobody put their hands on you. They put their hands on you. You take care of what you got to take care of, and let me and mommy do the rest. Now I
Gotcha.
don't believe in that. I don't believe in my
Right.
kids gonna let people slam them into the lock and all that. No, you tear that lock up, and then you let me. Look, and I don't even want this being a police. They put you in cuffs, but you tear that lock up, and you let me handle the rest. Because I think so often we tell our kids, don't do nothing, don't do nothing, don't do nothing, and then they become the
Tell the
victim. Don't
teacher.
do nothing,
Yeah.
don't do nothing. No, it's a difference. Walk away. I say walk away. Don't be up there trying to egg it on. Walk away.
Right.
But the moment they put they hands on you, all bets are off.
Right.
You let me handle it after that. You take care, you defend yourself, and you go,
Yeah.
and as one would say, go ham on them. But once you swing, you already in it. You might well go on and do what you got to do. Stop the threat, right?
Right.
So, hey, that's it. So
Gotcha.
I try to get my kids. You never know what kids thinking. I will hope
Right.
My kids would come to me, but you'll never know how kids are bullied and how they handle bullying. But I do talk to them about it. But I have not had experience with my kids being bullied. Well, my daughter had a situation, but I told her how to handle it. It's just older kids saying something, being mean and all that.
Right.
Because she was what she was doing. She was in cheerleading or something, and then she had to cross and do something in this drama play or something. So it was some of the cheerlead. No, she was in some program or something. I think it was in this little drama program, and some of the older kids were saying something to her. And I said, "Well, no, we go talk to the teacher." I said, "But you tell the teacher. You have to learn how to speak up for yourself, and then you come home and tell us, and let us handle the rest." I
Right.
said, "Because you can't all you got to tell people how you feel.
Yeah.
Because if you allow people to treat you a certain way, they're going to continue to treat you that way."
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
So you've told them about how to handle the social business of interacting with other kids and stuff. Have you given them any financial advice so far?
Yes. Well, I was about to say, don't blow your money, but save. Well, save your money. Now, my daughter, I call her Wall Street.
Okay.
She'll save some money. Like now, she got at least $200 on her now in her
Okay.
somewhere in her
Wow.
room.
And she
She gonna keep
14?
she 14. She gonna keep some money. She got
Okay.
between 100 and 200 somewhere. She always had it.
Okay.
Now my oldest one, money can't settle on his hand fast enough. And the youngest one, he just in the stage, uh, PlayStation cars. So,
Okay.
but I do share with them that, hey, look, you got to save something.
Right.
Just even though I know they're not going to be as committed to saving now, but
Yeah.
I'm still repetitive of saying, hey, look, you got to make choices. Now, you want to go to see the point, and you blew your money. Now you want me to give you 50 to 100, 150 of my dollars, but you just blew yours on PlayStation cards. You're gonna
Hmm.
be going to see the point after you make some more money, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard. I don't want to just say. Sometimes I don't want to say no. Or what I do to my kids, especially my boys, what I do to them, if it's something that they don't mismanage their money and they not saving it, I give them what they give them, but they're gonna pay me back.
Okay. It's a loan.
Oh yes, and I collect. My wife's like, "You gonna get that back?" Oh yeah, Comerica get theirs back,
Gotcha.
right? Chase get theirs back. Independence get theirs back.
Yeah. Do you ever miss being a kid? Sometimes when you think about your responsibilities with your own, do you like, whew, sometimes I wish when you realize how much you've given, how much you've done, how much you sacrificed, do you like, sometimes I wish I could be a kid again?
Mm, yes and no.
Okay.
I, if I do miss being a kid because of the responsibilities, but at the same time, I've been fortunate as an adult that my responsibilities had not been a burden.
Good.
And so um, now I've had, I got in a bad accident. I had life challenges of 31 surgeries and, didn't think I was going to make it. So stuff like that. But sometimes I'd be more so want to pop back into college mode
Hmm.
versus the little kid. Now, because college is the same thing. When you in that 4 to that 8 year pattern, holding pattern, you can still be yourself. You be a kid because you around folk ain't got nothing. Ain't none of y'all got nothing. You act like you got something. You ain't got nothing. Like my
Right.
grandma would say, a pot to pee in the window, throw it out. You ain't got it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm grateful for the days when I was younger. But if I had to pop back into something, it would be my college years because then was some I had a ball in them years.
Good. So now currently you are a police officer, a college professor, a pastor, a husband, and a dad.
Hmm.
What is your typical work week? What does that look like? Because that's a lot.
Always, everything I do is studying for, and well, actually, I don't study. I don't study to preach a sermon. I study often, and I preach that which I've studied.
Okay.
So I don't just open up the Bible to study. I read every day, and then I uh, I start from like tomorrow. I'll be thinking about. because I took a break on today, and tomorrow I'll be thinking about what I'm gonna be preaching about. I'll take the next 2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and focus on the direction in which I'm gonna go, and then Friday, Saturday I do my notes, look at my notes on Saturday, and then Sunday preach it.
Now, your professor
And
job, have a syllabus already made
yeah,
out for,
so
so
I
you got.
had two classes this semester, so I just gotta depend on whether it's 6, 7, 8 weeks of how they fall. So a lot of time the class can overlap, and so I'm doing that as well simultaneously, and then also I'm teaching at the academy as well. So you never know what you're gonna get with that. I could teach this day, that day. Like last week, I had to teach all week because I had a civilian class. So my typical day, everything I do, I think. So it's really busy.
Okay.
Yeah. So a typical day is busy.
So what about you do Bible study on Wednesday too?
Oh yes, I forgot about that. So you do so much, and then so Bible study is on Wednesday. I do Wednesday in the Word every Wednesday, and so I usually prepare for that. Um, like I'm working in a series now in the Book of Philippians, so I that's what I study like every day as I'm journeying through it, and so that's what keeps me like I do my devotional with that, so that keeps me on track with that, and then I ask God what it is that I'm gonna talk about that week for my upcoming sermon, and then that's how I navigate in that. If I'm not in a series or I'm trying to teach certain things, then I'm asking God what am I supposed to do. But even in a series where you're trying to focus on certain subject areas, I still ask God what direction you want me to go.
So your family time starts at what, 6 or 7 at night after the kids come from their practices at school and
Hmm.
your wife gets off work. Is it dinner time, family time? You make dinner together. How
Yeah.
does the family time start for
So
your
we
dad and
we
the
like
other?
in- we like in- we intertwine it. We just make it work because sometimes my daughter don't get out of swim practices at 7:30, 8 o'clock. So sometimes we eating separate. It's not always at the dinner table. We get in where we fit in, and
Oh,
so it's unorthodox, but you got to do what you got to do. Because then now the little one, he got to be in the bed by 8:39, or he gonna have a rough day. So you can't let him eat at 8 o'clock, because then now you got to take a shower, and so we got to get him down by usually get him in the shower by 6:30, by 7, and he
mm,
eat before 7, and then we just get in when the other kids get in. We just get in. We get in. Sometimes we just have to, depending on how the day look and what's going on, my wife usually cook with 99% of the time, but sometimes we got to go grab them $5 biggie bags and
oh,
when
okay.
or
Gotcha.
pizza or something, grab something or
Right.
so. But yeah, so typically we do eat on Sundays together, but
Mm.
during the week, and it's like Friday and Saturday we usually, you know, um, everybody fend for themselves when they don't fend for themselves. But what we do, my wife not cooking, so
Okay.
we usually go get something to eat on set Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
So how do you relax after this long week of all of that?
Well, I listen to jazz going to work. Well, I listen to talk radio going to work, jazz coming home, and then in between, I find myself sometimes doing checking papers while I'm watching ESPN, and I watch the HGTV channel. That's how I wind down during the week, and then
Yeah.
on the weekend I get with a couple of the fellas, and if they come to my house, I go to their house, and we watch the game, and that's how we wind down. But or also wind down from vacations too. Like we going on vacation coming up soon, so we take like 2 or 3 vacations a year, and then me and my partners separately, I go to the Hall of Fame every year, and then I go to one away game this year. Just this year, my boys went with me.
All right. So what's your favorite thing about each of your children? What do you like about each one of them?
Mm,
If it's more than
mm,
one, you can say it.
that's a good question. Uh, my oldest one, he is outgoing. My middle, she's like witty, smart, like very smart, and then my youngest one, he's very loving. If I had to look at all three of my kids and say if something happened to us, who would help us take it would be him. Because I sometimes I can be in watching TV outside, and he will come outside because the police. So he say, "Dad, you got your gun?" I say, "Yep." He say He say, "Is it okay if I go to sleep now? I just want to make sure you're all right." He that kind of kid, and he be serious
Oh,
too.
oh,
So
okay.
yeah, he's dead serious. He like, I'm not going to sleep too, because I come in sometime like in summertime,
Uh-huh.
and I be in the garage and I come in and he said, oh, he said, I said, you still up, Gavin? He said, yeah, I'll go to sleep now. I know you in safe,
Oh,
and I just be on the other side of the door.
right.
Yeah, so that's him. So
Uh,
so I like his caring, my daughter's smartness, and then my other son, his what did I say? His
outgoing. Yeah.
outgoing. Yeah, yeah.
So, how do you show your children love? I know, like before you go to work, uh, well, you're not on the street anymore, but do you like hug and kiss them before you leave the house, or before they leave the house, or when you drop them
Yep,
off?
yep. I kiss him, pray for him, but I kiss him like kiss my sons on the forehead, and I kiss my daughter on the cheek. Yeah. Now she kind of like the one she don't like you. Tell I say now she don't like you kissing her, either me or my wife. I say look or hugging. I say you gotta be careful with that because I say when me and mommy ain't here, you gonna wish that you took advantage of that. I say some kids wish they had a parent to kiss and a hug, so you gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
You know. And so that, like I showed her herself at a swim meet.
Mhm.
We asked to take a picture. We were hugging. She didn't want to be bothered. As soon as she got in the picture with the other people, she was
Mhm.
like, I said, oh no. I say, oh no. I say that's not going down like that. She's like,
Right.
Dad. I said, oh no, you don't treat them better than you treat us.
There
You
you go.
smiling at that picture and frowning ours, they
Mhm.
ain't doing nothing for you. And she came over there. Yeah, I know. You better do something. So but if you don't teach your children that, they don't know no better.
Right.
They grow up in this mindset and mentality. That's just the way I am,
Mhm.
and that's not
No,
true. A
that's
lot of
not true.
times we make choices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna take a quick break. I know it's been a while, but it was interesting. We're gonna take a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned, everybody. Real Dad Speak, taking a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
My name is Sean Williams, and I am the founder and president of the Dad Gang Incorporated. The Dad Gang is a support group for Black fathers, and we are on a mission to change the way the world views Black dads.
I do agree there's a misconception about Black parenting and Black fathers.
Welcome back, everybody. Real Dad Speak. We're talking with Reverend Gregory A. Smith II, pastor of Zion Baptist Church. Did I say it right? Zion
Yes.
Hill Baptist Church. All right. So, Pastor Greg, we are come to the part of the show where it's my final five, and these are either questions or a fill in the blank. So, number
Okay.
one, what do you think all boys and girls need from their father?
Love and a level of understanding. What's the word? Emotion. Because I think with boys, especially in the Black community, we 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 teach our kids to be so rough that they don't know how to be emotional. They think emotional is being soft. No, being disconnected is a bad thing. So when you become a young man and you're dating or you get a wife, you don't know how to let that emotional side off, or just because you're sensitive don't mean you're not a man, because it allow I always your sense of emotion allow you to hear the other person, but allow you to be open not only to hear the other person, but allow them to hear you as well. Because you got some girls, some females, they so hard you can't even break through. Right, so it's vice versa. So you need to tell them that the emotion part is okay to have.
Okay. Number two, how do your children know when you're speaking as their dad and when you're speaking as their pastor? Or is there?
uh no, most of the time I'm speaking as their dad.
Okay.
Right. I think that's most. Now, when I'm at church, that's the pastor. But unless I say, "Hey, look," then they know that daddy done kicked in. Right.
Okay.
So I'm more so their dad than their pastor. Just like my wife, I'm more so her husband than her pastor. That's just like if she is a social worker, don't come home talking that clinical stuff on me. I know who you are. Don't just or me talking the police stuff on her. No, be my wife. I'll be your husband, right?
Okay. Okay. Number 3. What's the best advice your dad ever gave you as a minister and as a man?
Be careful of the choices that you make because your past got a way of catching up with your future.
All right. Number 4. What's one important lesson that fatherhood has taught you?
That you have to be willing to listen, even in the midst of discipline. You got to hear what your kids are saying, and then you have to know how to parent each kid differently, but to get them all 3 to the same goal. Because in some ways I could parent my daughter that I can't do my older son like that, and vice versa, because they're 3 different people. And so often, as we were growing up, not necessarily me, but as some of our parents was growing up, they was all pushed into this one way of parenting. So the one that didn't get in trouble got in trouble because everybody got in trouble. That's not fair.
Right. Exactly.
That creates resentment.
Yeah. All
So
right.
I ain't do nothing. I get in trouble. I might as well do something. Right.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Number 5 and the last one is a fill in the blank. So complete this sentence by your children and fill in this blank. Our dad allows us to feel like any other children by blank.
Letting us know that we matter.
I like that. All right, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very
All
much
right.
for your time. I know that wasn't
Thank you.
hard.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed your stories. Thank you so much
All
for
right.
coming on.
Hope it helped out. And if you need me again, let me know.
Oh, you know I will.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you,
Thank you
everybody.
so much.
All
All right. And I talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. All right.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Well,
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
forget to like, share, and subscribe to Real Dad Speak. A new episode comes out every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on YouTube and Spotify. Thank you for joining.
Awesome. Have a good one, okay?